We get big guests ready to go.
This is America's favorite outdoor talk program.
Oh, really? If these guests were fish, they would be lunkers.
Nature Children is where it's at.
Hello there, I'm a bass, and I am petrified of Alex Langer's show.
Outdoors This Week.
Everybody can participate, no matter how old you are, what income you are, or for that matter, what sex you are.
Anchor yourself right here, because it's time for Outdoors This Week.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. 1,000 good mornings to you. I've never wished people 1,000 good mornings, but why not? Listen, we have a very, very special show today. Of course, I always say that, so don't believe anything I say starting a show. Later in the show, you can probably believe it, but not when we're beginning, because I'm so excited. Truthfully, we have some very interesting guests today. I don't mean interesting, I mean terrific. We have Brandon Palaniuk. He's a young guy. I think he's only in his early 20s. I think he's like 23, right?
Yeah, I think he's like 23, 24.
All right.
Yeah.
24, that's old. If he's 24, I don't want to talk to him.
I know, he's over the hill.
He's drawn a lot of parallels between himself and another young guy that won the Classic and then was tragically killed in a plane crash. His name escapes me right now. We'll talk to Brandon Palaniuk today. Also, we have Robin McFarlane. Robin was a competitor with the Women's Bassmaster Tour, and this year she took a year off, and she now guides with her husband on Lake Falcon and all those border lakes on the Rio Grande on the border of Texas and Mexico. We'll talk to her about that. Then we have Steve Connolly, who is always my closer. I've known Steve for many, many years, decades if you want to know the truth. He's with us today. And we also have our usual suspects, which are Larry Whiteley from Bass Pro Shops, Wade Bourne from Wired to Fish, and also, last but not least, Ron Linder of the famous, he's the patriarch of the famous Linder clan. So how can you not stay tuned for that? You got to stay tuned. We'll be right back.
More of America's favorite outdoor talk program, Outdoors This Week, after these messages.
Ron Linder here, reporting in from nowhere near snowbanks, but looking at palm trees. I'm in Florida, fully ensconced in my new digs over here, looking out at the pool, etc. Was even out fishing yesterday. Wasn't a magnificent day, but I did catch 5 small snook, very small. 1 decent red, about 6 trout, 1 decent one, a Spanish mackerel, a small one, and a lizard fish. Better than fishing through the ice at home, I think. I would be a lot disagreed upon by the ice hounds back home, but I'm down here. Anyway, I will be reporting in for the next 4 months from Florida and various activities going on here. Linder Media, by the way, Linder Media is on the new NBC Sports Network, showing on Saturdays, Eastern Time at 10 o'clock a.m. Saturdays, and Fridays at noon Eastern. So you can see us then, plus a whole bunch of other places. You can also go to our website, Linder Media, and look up all the hundreds of channels, other channels that we play on. By the way, we also just took a contract with the state of Minnesota to do an invasive species documentary. So our guys are back home. My son Billy is doing underwater shots of various things. He's going at zebra mussels and quaggas and little stuff like spiny water fleas, and they're doing all kinds of, quote, interesting things. They will be doing this piece. They've actually been working on it for some time. It's going to come out. So we have learned a lot about invasive species, particularly the zebra and the quagga mussels, which we will be able to give you full reports on later. Incidentally, these are not the most invasive of species. Like the spiny water flea, a lot of people don't even know they exist. I'll explain problems they are for fishermen later. They stick to the line when you troll. That's the easy, simple answer. But anyway, we are doing an invasive species documentary for the state of Minnesota. What's happening down here? Well, for our website, we have a thing on our lindermedia.com website, which is called Factoid, Fish Factoids. These are facts about fishing. And one of the places when you come on the website, you get a lot of these factoids, and I write them. I don't write all of them. I write some of them, just a few of them. A couple of the factoids that I'm in a process of writing right now, waiting for my wife to come back here and help me. Pro walleye angler Ted Takasaki is, after 10 years of competition, still the holder of the largest one-day limit catch of 5 walleyes ever brought into a tournament. His 53-pound, 2-ounce catch average was over 10.5 pounds per fish per walleye, and this was taken at a 202 PWT walleye event from Lake Erie, and that record is still holding. Another one that I just saw up here on our factoids, Roland Martin, the old-timer 71, he's going back. He's fishing the FLW trails, but he is still holder of the most wins on a Bassmaster circuit ever, 19 in fact, and he is still, now someday Kevin Van Dam and some of these younger guys are going to catch him, he is still a holder of all the most Bass tournaments ever won by a single individual. Okay, my last fact for the day, and I'm giving you sort of a glimpse of the factoids that we are putting down, and I looked up. There are, get this now, to date, nearly 25,000 identified fish species. And however, the list continues to grow. And a saltwater critter caught near the Australian island of Tasmania to date is the last one. It's called a handfish. However, the list is growing. So 40% of these are freshwater species, however. Even though freshwater constitutes only 1% of the world's water supply, it holds 40% of the fish species. That one threw me, and it gives me a good reason to go out fishing. If 1% of the water on all of the earth here is fresh water, it contains 40% of the fish species. Good reason to go fishing. That's it for now, and see you later, folks.
I'm hooked on hooking up, and there ain't no cure.
Hey, what do you think you're doing? Don't change that dial. Alex will be right back with more of Outdoors This Week after these messages.
Break out the heavy line. I'm hooked on hooking up.
Understanding Family coming up on Bass Pro Shops Outdoor World.
Would you like to spend less time on the couch and more time in the fresh air? Would you like your kids to stare at a bobber instead of the TV? Would you gladly trade in your microwave for a Dutch oven? Then you belong at Bass Pro Shops. Every week, we offer free skills workshops to help you get started. See the store or go to BassPro.com for more information. Bass Pro Shops. Your adventure starts here.
Now, after all you put them through, getting up way before daylight and waking them up with all the noises you make, getting ready to go turkey hunting, disappearing for days at a time, listening to you sighting your gun, practicing clucks and whines in the house, buying new turkey hunting stuff with the grocery money, being gone at night roosting turkeys, watching you practice not blinking, whining as you scratch tick or chigger bites and maybe even poison ivy rash, the least you can do is bring your family home a gourmet treat, a wild turkey. And while you're at it, try to convince your spouse how easy it was and how much fun. They don't have to know how much work you put in or how frustrating a big old gobbler can be, because the most understanding family there is a turkey hunting family. They have to be, don't they? Now, for more great turkey hunting tips to help you get that turkey for your family, go to BassPro.com and click on the Outdoor Site Library. I'm Larry Whiteley, and this is Bass Pro Shops Outdoor World.
Why? Thanks, Larry, for that turkey update. And speaking of turkeys, we have somebody who is not a turkey. He's a 24-year-old kid who just won his very first Bassmaster Elite Series event on Bull Shoals in Arkansas. And that is, of course, none other than Brandon Palaniuk. Brandon, first of all, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Alex.
Did you hear Larry's report on turkeys?
I did. I heard that.
What'd you think of it?
That's a good thing. If I wasn't out on the water, I might put it to use.
You were on the water at Bull Shoals a few weeks ago. Tell me about that. What did you dial into there? What was the pattern?
Well, I got onto a deep crankbait pattern. I mean, you could catch fish everywhere in the lake. You know, there were a lot of guys fishing shallow. Actually, I think there were 98 other guys fishing shallow and catching them cranking. But I came up with a game plan that I was going to fish deep. And when I say deep, I mean 13 to 20 foot. And I went out and found some isolated rock piles, throwing a Rapala DT16 and just catching a little bit deeper than everyone else.
Tell me about that Rapala DT16. I looked it up. That was an Ike's Custom Ink job, wasn't it?
Yeah, the one I was throwing is called Blueback Herring, and it's in the new line colors that Ike came up with called Ike's Custom Ink. And, you know, they're just kind of going back to the old school stuff, or, you know, a little bit of the tricks is leaving your colors out and fading them so that they look a little bit more realistic in the water. But now you can just go to the store, buy them right out of the pack, and they're, I mean, the perfect colors that you're looking for. So, I mean, he did an excellent job on, you know, not only that blueback herring color, but a lot of the colors in that line.
It's kind of like blue jeans, you know. Whoever would have thought you'd buy faded blue jeans? But, you know, that was a rage, I think, back when you were probably a toddler, you know. Or maybe you weren't even born yet. What did Ike do to come up with these custom colors?
Well, I mean, he paired up with Rapala, and, you know, they got together, and he tells the story of only used to, you know, he'd go driving down the road and he'd throw all his crankbaits up on the dash of his truck and leave them there for a couple of weeks to fade out the colors. So instead of having to take that time, now you can just, you know, get them out of the package and they're the way that we wanted them to be.
Right.
You know, so they're a little bit more faded colors. The you know, from the back to the belly of the bait kind of all flows together.
Yeah.
You know, so they almost let off a glow in the water that looked extremely realistic. And, I mean, I think they're going to be a major player in a lot of tournaments this year.
Sounds like they are, and you've certainly given them a good start. What were the bass doing? They were pre-spawning?
Well, the ones I was catching were pre-spawn. You know, my theory is that the water was dropping there at Bull Shoals, and those bigger females hadn't spawned yet, and they were pre-spawn, just waiting for that water to stabilize. So, you know, I went deeper and found some pre-spawn fish, but really you had all three stages that week. I mean, you had some fish spawning, pre-spawn, post-spawn fish. I mean, it was kind of a little bit of everything.
It's not just one thing. I think it's never just one thing anywhere. I mean, the last time I was at...
You get around this time of year, you know, March, April, May... Anywhere in the South, you're going to kind of have all three stages. You just never really know.
Right.
You know, and a lot of it depends on the kind of winter you have. You know, if you have a real warm winter, they'll start a little bit earlier, and not all the fish in the lake spawn at the same time.
I've got fish spawning in July and August up in New England, and a lot of people say you're crazy, but it's the absolute truth. What kind of effect do you think this mild winter has had on the fish?
Well, I mean, those fish don't have to go as deep to get comfortable, you know, so your water temps don't drop as much, and when it starts to heat up again, that water temperature is already halfway to where it needs to be for those fish to start spawning, so you'll get them up in the shallows and get them spawning a lot earlier than they normally would if you had a, you know, cold or normal winter.
Okay. There's a couple of other things I want to ask you, Brandon. Would you stay with us through the break into the next segment? And in the meantime,
all right, sounds good.
Don't do anything stupid in the meantime, all right?
All right.
All right.
High-tech equipment, rods and reels and lines. A brand new pickup that I bought from a friend of mine that I financed online. But when I need a break from the heads, they can quickly be a cane pole and bobber and a lazy old crick.
We'll be back in a moment with more Outdoors This Week with Alex Langer.
Wow! Woo! Hold on to that, and that's a good one. Since 1984. Tight Lines with Sammy Lee.
If you'd won over $1 million in national bass tournaments using predominantly one style of fishing, you'd probably know what you were doing, right? Well, that's exactly what my guest today has done. Hello, this is Sammy Lee. In just a moment, Peter Thalveras will continue educating us about the Carolina rig style of bassing. But first, this message.
Aprons, t-shirts, hoodies, mugs.
You want it? We got it. And by we, I mean Sammy Lee. Check out the incredible array of Tight Lines souvenirs you can buy at the Tight Lines website and get fitted out from head to toe with quality products featuring your favorite fishing show. Buy them for yourself. Buy them for gifts. But make sure you buy them today. See the Tight Lines collection online at my website, tightlinesradio.com. Just click the button that says souvenirs and get you some.
Over 50 items to choose from at tightlinesradio.com.
For Peter Thalveras of Jacksonville, Florida, a career in tournament bass fishing has meant many things. Mainly, it's meant taking home over $1 million in prize money and a career that has seen him qualify for 10 Bassmaster Classics and win 5 national tournament titles. And believe it or not, most of his winnings have come on a style of fishing called Carolina rig fishing. And as Peter's been explaining for the past few days, the rod and reel that you use in this style of fishing is extremely important. But how about the type and size of fishing line you use?
When I'm not worried so much about current or when I'm fishing real heavy cover situations like stumps or stump fields or grass, areas that have a lot of brush piles in them, stuff like that, I go to a casting rod. I like to use a 7-foot length rod. The rods I use are made by American Rodsmith. They are Carolina rig rods that have my name on them, and they're the right action for heavier pound test line. I like to use, on a casting rod, I like to use 17 pound test line, and almost as a minimum is 17 on the reel.
I'll be back with more Tight Lines and a word about my next program on Carolina rig fishing with Peter Thalveras after this. Peter Thalveras will tell us what type of reel we need to use to catch more bass Carolina rig fishing next time. So I hope you'll join us. I'm Sammy Lee, and until next time, Tight Lines.
Tight Lines, brought to you by UFP, America's leading maker of brake systems for boat trailers. FishMate, the ultimate fishing app for your smartphone. And by U.S. farm-raised catfish, the healthiest fish from pond to plate.
If you like Facebook, you'll love the Sammy Lee page on Facebook. Check out me, Sammy Lee, even more lovable than ever on Facebook.com.
Thanks, Sammy, and we'll watch for you next time. Although this is radio, and you can't watch for very much on the radio, can you, Lynn?
No, you really can't. There's not a lot to see.
You're going to listen to it. Hopefully Sammy's loud. Well, we know he might be loud.
I think so.
Listen, we have Brandon Palaniuk with us today, and he is 24 years old, and he just won his first Elite Series contest, and that was the recent Bassmaster Elite Series Trocar Quest at Bull Shoals Lake in Arkansas. He had the big bass dialed in on deep rock and brush and on a roadbed in the back of a spawning pocket. Brandon, tell me about that. With a fast fish in the left lane, that's what I want to know.
Oh, they were in the fast lane. They would move a little bit every day, and there were about 5 or 6 key spots on that roadbed in the back of the pocket, and those fish would just kind of move with the bait fish to those different little key spots, and I would just kind of move with them, and make adjustments throughout the day as they move.
What would a key spot on the roadbed be? What kind of a place?
It'd be like a little isolated rock pile or one bush. They're real small spots, and so it's important to get a good lineup and be able to make the right cast.
Did you see these on your electronics?
Yeah, I've got 3 Lowrance HDS units on my boat. I've got 2 HDS 10s and an HDS 8, and I could actually see the fish sitting in the brush or see the fish sitting on top of the rock piles, and I was able to turn around, line up, and make a cast and catch them.
What other kind of electronics do you have in your boat that you would credit for your success?
One would be a hydro wave.
Right.
And it's kind of new to the market. The idea has been around for a while, but hydro wave's got it dialed in pretty good. And for those of the people that don't know or haven't heard of it, I mean, it's just a unit that emits sounds underwater of bait fish. So there's different settings for different sounds of shad that the shad make, whether they're fleeing from bass or just swimming around, or there's schooling shad setting. And all that does is it activates the bait fish, triggers the bass into a more active mode.
Is there any doubt in your mind that this works?
Yeah, it's not a sponsored plea. They don't pay me. I don't have a patch on my shirt, my boat, anything. I've visibly seen the difference. I've seen it work, and I'm a firm believer in it.
Okay. You think the hydro wave made the difference? I don't want to put words in your mouth, but you think the hydro wave did make the difference, right?
I mean, I would have. The way I look at it is I would have been able to catch fish without it.
Yeah.
But it's when those fish shut down.
Right.
It enables me to get 3 or 4 more bites. If I can get 3 or 4 more bites a day, one of those fish might be a 5 or 6 pounder that makes a difference. So, I mean, it's a pretty important part of my equipment.
It's maybe like a 5% edge or a 10% edge, something like that?
I would say it's maybe a little bit more than that.
Okay.
I mean, it definitely makes a difference.
All right. I read you saying that you caught the real toad on the Rapala crankbaits. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's on a DT16 in the blueback herring color.
Okay. What else can you tell us, Brandon? Anything else I haven't asked you that you'd like everybody to know?
Well, I mean, a lot of people thought that I caught all those fish just off of that roadbed, but, the first day I actually only caught 1 fish there. I had, a lot of guys were running a pattern that week, and that lake sets up real well to be able to run a pattern once you figure them out.
Okay.
It just happened to be that the pattern I was running was a little bit deeper than the rest of the guys, and I was able to run it throughout the entire lake. So, I mean, anyone that's fishing that lake in the future, I would definitely, remember that once you figure out kind of where the fish are, you're able to run that pattern throughout the whole lake.
You're really just saying once you find the pattern, then you found it, right?
Yeah, I mean, you find that pattern and you're able to run it, I mean, really from top to bottom of that entire lake, for 100 miles.
How many feet down were you fishing?
Well, I was fishing anywhere from 13 to 20, and they were isolated rock piles that were close to the first major break right off of the spawning flats, where those fish felt comfortable to sit until the water stabilized.
Right. You hung with it, and they stayed there for you, right?
Yep. I had enough areas that I was able to cycle through them, kind of make a milk run, and be able to cycle through and stay on top of the fish.
Don Barone wrote something about you to which you responded, and could you summarize it here for us, please?
Well, he wrote an open letter to me, and I had no idea he was going to do that. He told me that he wrote an article earlier in the week called The Defining Moment, and he told me that he was later going to do a kind of a second part to it, and I didn't know what it was going to be. And when I read it, it hit me pretty hard, and we've been pretty close ever since I've met him almost 2 years ago.
Right.
And really, my response, I had sent it just to him. I just sent it to him in an email, and as a way just to show my appreciation for what he did for me. And he asked if I minded if he sent it to Bassmaster, and I didn't care at that point. It was a letter to him. If he wanted it to to be out there in the public, that was fine with me.
Right. I think that's where I saw it in Bassmaster. And for those of you who don't know Don Barone, he's an old fart, kind of like me, but he's especially cognizant of what Brandon pulled off here, and he gives him high praise. And Brandon, I give you the same high praise as Don did, and many more wins. All right, on the trail.
All right, thanks, Alex. That's the plan.
Thanks for joining us today. And how can people get a hold of you? What's your website?
Well, I've got my personal website is www.bmpfishing.
Okay.
And I'm check my email fairly regularly there, and you can keep up to date with the tournaments there, or you can go to facebook.com/Brandon Palaniuk.
Okay.
And that'll pull up my athlete page, and you can follow me right there as well.
Flood his emails, everybody. He's young and he's good at fishing. So thanks, Brandon. I appreciate you joining us.
All righty. Thanks, Alex.
Thanks a lot. Brandon Palaniuk.
It takes a whole lot of losing.
Coast to coast, this is Outdoors This Week with Alex Langer.
Remember what my grandpa used to say, fish hard.
Compared to the flowers and the birds and the trees.
This is Outdoors This Week with Alex Langer.
Fish heads, roly-poly fish heads.
America's outdoor talk program.
You better say your prayers, you flea-bitten varmint.
Now, back to Outdoors This Week. Here's your host, Alex Langer.
Why, thank you, Mr. Announcer. That would be me, Alex Langer, your humble host. And we have with us a woman that I met personally in Dothan, Alabama, on Lake Neely Henry back in 2008 on the WBT Tour, the Women's Bassmaster Tour, which is since gone the way of the wagon train. And that put Robin McFarlane on a path to danger. Why, you might ask? Well, she guides on the Texas border lakes that are rife with gunplay right now. And Robin, is that true? First of all, welcome to the show. I'm not being very hospitable. Slap me, Lynn. Robin, welcome. And is that true? Or has the gunplay been overblown?
Yes, it has been overblown. Yes, it has. And thank you for having me.
You're newly on the board of the Ladies Bass Anglers Association. Is that correct?
That's correct. This is my first year. Of course, that's the first year for the tour, and I was very honored when I was asked to sit on the board of directors.
You're one of the grand dames of bass fishing. Would you say that's correct?
Well, possibly, yes.
But what do people want to... Obviously, they want to catch a big fish when you got them on the Texas border lakes. I mean, give me an overview of your guiding services.
Well, we actually guide on 3 lakes. We guide on Falcon Lake, Amistad Lake, and Choke Canyon. We guide under the Double R Guide Service. And our opinion is that that's 3 of the best lakes in Texas that you can fish. I know a lot of anglers out there say 4th is better, but it's very common to go to Falcon Lake and be able to catch a double-digit fish any day, if not numerous double digits, if the day is going just perfect.
Falcon Lake, I mean, especially, has a big bass reputation. Like I say, any day you could go out and catch a double-digit bass. Unfortunately, there was also a story on Falcon Lake about that jet skier being shot by the Mexican drug cartels. But is that pretty much over, or do you stay on the American side of the lake?
No, I actually go on both sides of the lake. It's pretty well over. There is some activity still going on, excuse me, on the Mexico side. But at Falcon, the majority of the activity you don't even see.
There's Mexican helicopters flying over, but it's their military, right?
It's their military. Basically, they're patrolling the Mexican side of Falcon Lake, trying to keep it under control, and they are doing a good job. There's numerous days when I don't have a guide trip, and I go out looking for new spots, and I'm by myself on the water on the Mexico side, and I am not bothered whatsoever. So some of the hype that Falcon Lake has gotten in the past is not exactly, it's not accurate. Yes, there was an incident, and there have been a couple of small incidents but Falcon Lake is still booming and it's fishable, and it's a great fishery.
How is Amistad and Choke Canyon compared to Falcon Lake?
Choke and Amistad versus Falcon. Falcon is a type of lake where you can go and catch quality fish and a quantity of fish. At times you can do that on Amistad and Choke, but not as consistently. They tend to fish a little bit tougher. They are, it's all three different types of lakes. You have Falcon Lake, which has a lot of structure in it, rocks. It has old settlements, graveyards, fence lines, all kinds of structure. Amistad's a very clear water lake. It's a deep water lake. You have your deep points. That's your main keys, like your humps and your deep points at Amistad. Choke Canyon is a little bit similar to Falcon Lake. The water is a little bit murkier. It has a lot of trees in it. But the thing about Choke Canyon that most people do, they not only want to go fish there, it's very well known to have large alligators.
Really?
And they always want to see the alligators.
Holy cows. Not only large bass, but large alligators as well. Is that unusual for Texas, large alligators?
Yeah, it is, but usually when I take someone out on Choke, that's the first thing they ask, where are the alligators? So it has its reputation of big fish and big alligators.
All right. If you don't like the gunplay, go see the alligators, right?
Right.
All right, Robin. Let me ask you about the demise of the WBT Tour. It's been over a year now. What is your perspective on the demise of the tour?
Very disappointed. It was a tour where the ladies were able to go out and compete against each other and be able to have a great camaraderie with each other. And it was just kind of disappointing that we were there one day and the next day we were gone.
Right.
So it was a huge disappointment.
How does the LBAA stack up compared to the WBT Tour?
Well, don't get me wrong, the WBT Tour was a great tour, but the LBAA is a fantastic tour. One, it's because the ladies actually own the tour, and, there's never any real surprises down the road. We kind of have an idea of what we're looking at, and we know it's coming. We have a great group of people that work for us. We have a great group of ladies that fish for the tour.
I think I know most of the people on the board of directors. Some of the ladies I know are Robin Babb. She's the other Robin that's a female angler. So tell me, Robin, what's next for you? Are you fishing any opens or anything like that?
Actually, this year I chose to concentrate fully on my guide business, and I am fishing a few small tournaments here and there, but my plans right now are to get back. I did not even fish the LBAA this year. My plans are to get back on, fishing on the tours and going ahead and hitting as many money tournaments and in the LBAA that I can.
If I may say so, I think Lake Falcon is the best bass fishing in America. And Robin, if somebody wanted to get a hold of you or your husband and go fishing, is there a website or number that they can call?
I can give you both. It's the rrguides.net.
rrguides.net?
It's double R. It would be DOUBLER. Guide.
Yeah. .net?
.net, correct.
Okay.
And then the phone numbers would be 210-416-4563 or 956-857-7314.
All right, Robin, thank you for being on, and come back again, would you?
I sure will.
All right.
I'm looking forward to it already.
Okay.
Well, give us a call. We'll take you to some good fish.
All right, great. Thanks, folks, and thank you, Robin.
Outdoors This Week with Alex Langer.